Good morning and welcome back to the social science classes. Today, we are going to learn about a new lesson from the geography part, chapter 4, hydrosphere.
So let's start with our chapter. As the name of the chapter is hydrosphere, so already we have discussed about lithosphere, atmosphere. Like that, hydrosphere is also one of the layer of the earth. Okay, hydrosphere is also one of the layer of the earth. We know that earth has many layers like lithosphere, atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere. Hydrosphere is one of the layer of the earth which is covered with water. Okay, as you know that earth is also called as blue planet. When we have read the first chapter of geography, that time there were different names of earth, right? So among that, one name was blue planet. So why earth is called blue planet? Because most of the part of the earth is covered with water. Almost 71% of the earth's surface or earth's area is covered with water. That's why it is called blue planet. So hydrosphere is one of the layer of the earth which is covered with water. So now we'll read about hydrosphere. So in this chapter we'll read about different kinds of water bodies, the structure of the ocean bed, ocean currents, their types and conservation of oceans. Okay, now how to mark oceans, Gulf, Bay, Strait on Indian map, that also you'll know in this chapter. So first of all, now we'll discuss this chapter with distribution of water bodies. As you all know that water is very important for us. Without water, the living organisms cannot survive. Even the plants, they also need water. Without water, the plants cannot survive, right? Because they need water for making the food by the process of photosynthesis. So what is water? The source for marine life and maritime climate. So this was a definition given in your textbook for water. Now, distribution of water bodies. The earth is popularly called blue planet. This I have told you that earth is called blue planet or watery planet. Because why it is called blue planet or watery planet? Because 71% of the total area of the earth or 361 million square kilometer is covered by water. So out of 100, 71% of the earth is covered with water, or you can say that 361 million square kilometer area of the earth is covered with water. That's why it is called blue planet. So if the question will be asked why earth is called blue planet, then you can write the answer: the earth is called blue planet because 71% of the total area of the earth is covered with water. That's why it is called blue planet or watery planet. The major water bodies of the world are, now what are the major water bodies of the world, that we'll read now. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean and the Arctic Ocean. So there are four major water bodies of the world: Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean and Arctic Ocean. These are the four oceans which are present in the world. Okay. Now one by one we'll read about the ocean, seas, Gulf, Bay and Strait. First we'll read about oceans. What are oceans? Oceans are deep and large expanse of water found between the continents. Okay, if between two continents the deep type of structure will be present in which water is present, that is called ocean. Oceans are deep and large expanse of water. Okay, deep and large expanse of water found between the continents. The Indian Ocean between Asia, Africa and Australia. Now where do we get this Indian Ocean? It is present between Asia, Africa and Australia. Asia, Africa and Australia are the continents. So between these continents, the Indian Ocean is present. The Atlantic Ocean is present between North America and Europe. Okay, the Atlantic Ocean is present between which continents? The North America and the Europe. So this is the definition of ocean. Oceans are the deep and large expanse of water found between the continents. Indian Ocean is present between which continents? Asia, Africa and Australia. And Atlantic Ocean is present between North America and Europe. Now, what is sea? A sea is a part of the ocean extended or projected far inland. Sea. What is sea? It is a part of the ocean, small part of the ocean which is extended or projected far inland. Okay, it is extended or projected means it is coming out of the ocean like that. It's a small part of the ocean only. Seas are smaller compared to ocean. They are small as compared to ocean. What are the examples of sea? Arabian Sea, Caspian Sea, the Red Sea. Red Sea is also known as Mediterranean Sea, right? So these are the examples of sea: Arabian Sea, Caspian Sea or Red Sea. You should know at least two examples of sea. Next, what is Gulf? A gulf is a part of an ocean or sea that penetrate into the land. So what is gulf? It is a part of an ocean or sea that will penetrate into the land. Penetrate means it will go inside the land. It is smaller than sea. Now Gulf will be smaller than sea. Seas are smaller than ocean. Gulf will be smaller than sea. The size, shape and depth of Gulf varies from one to another. There are different types of Gulf that will be present. So one of the shape and size of the Gulf will be different from the another. For example, Gulf of Mannar is different from Persian Gulf, which will be different from the Gulf of Mexico. So at least two example you can learn for Gulf also. Gulf of Mannar or the Persian Gulf. Gulf of Mexico is also easy. Okay, so what is Gulf? It is a part of an ocean or sea that penetrates into the land, and it is smaller than that of the sea. Next, bay. What is bay? Bay are small semicircular water bodies partially surrounded by land. What are these? These are semicircular water bodies. Semicircular water bodies. Semicircle, you know, like this. This is a semicircle. So these are semicircular water bodies partially surrounded by land. Means it will be surrounded by land. Partially means half of it will be surrounded by land. Partially means half. So bays are small semicircular water bodies partially surrounded by land. The depth, extent and size of bay vary from one to another. Means one of the bay will be different from the other in its shape, size and depth. Example, Bay of Bengal is very common. Bay of Bengal, Bay of Biscay, Bay of Fundy, Hudson Bay. So you can remember the Bay of Bengal and Hudson Bay. These are easy. Okay. Example of bay is Bay of Bengal and Hudson Bay. Now, what is strait? A strait is a narrow strip of water body joining two large water bodies. Okay. It is a narrow strip of water bodies like this. Okay. Narrow strip of water bodies joining the two water bodies. When the two water bodies will come together, it is like a narrow type of narrow strip. Strip is like this. Okay, it is a narrow strip of water body joining two large water bodies. Example, Park Strait, Strait of Gibraltar, Bering Strait. Okay, so what is strait? It is a narrow strip of water bodies joining two large water bodies. Example, you can remember Park Strait and Bering Strait. Okay, now the last one is isthmus. Isthmus. What is isthmus? Isthmus is a narrow stretch of landmass joining two large land masses. It is a narrow stretch of landmass. No water will be present, narrow stretch of landmass which will join two large land masses. Okay, suppose these are two large land masses which will be joined by a narrow stretch of landmass. Isthmus is the most important location for constructing ocean canals. So in isthmus, what are the things which are constructed? Ocean canals. Example, Suez Canal between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. Now this Suez Canal, okay, it is constructed between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. Panama Canal between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. These are the examples of isthmus. Suez Canal is constructed between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea, and Panama Canal between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. So this was all about your isthmus. Now we'll talk about relief of the ocean floor. The sea or ocean floor also has various features like the relief features of the earth's surface. Okay, the sea or ocean floor, the water bodies, they are having the different types of relief features. The knowledge of relief features on the ocean is very necessary to know the importance of ocean. On the basis of the characteristic feature, the ocean floor is divided into four major parts. Now, what are the important ocean floors? This question is there in your exercise also. So the ocean floor is divided into four major parts. So what are the different types of ocean floors, or what are the parts of the ocean floor? First one is your continental shelf. First one is continental shelf. Second one is your continental slope. Third is the deep sea plain, and the fourth one is ocean deeps. So on the basis of characteristic features, on the basis of the features, the ocean floor is divided into four major parts. First one is continental shelf, second one is continental slope, third is the deep sea plain, and the fourth one is ocean deeps. Now we'll look at this diagram given over there. You can see the continental shelf is marked over there. Continental shelf is present over there. Then your ocean deep is present in this side. Okay. Continental edge is also present. Continental slope, continental edge, continental shelf, and the ocean deep. These are the things which are present in the ocean floor. This is a diagram for your relief of the ocean floor. This is a diagram showing the relief of the ocean floor. Now first we'll start with continental shelf. One by one we'll discuss all the relief features. First one is your continental shelf. What is continental shelf? This is a shallow area along the sea coast. this is a shallow area along the sea coast. This part is bordered by the sea coast on one side and continental slope on the other side. Now we'll look at the diagram given over there. Continental shelf. You can see this continental shelf. It is a shallow area along the sea coast. You can see this is the sea. Okay, it is a shallow area along the sea coast. It is present over there. This part is bordered by the sea coast. Okay, this is the sea area, sea coast on one side and continental slope on the other side. And this side you can see the land area is present, the continental area. So it is bordered by one side by the sea coast and other side by the continental shelf. The average depth of the continental shelf is 100 fathoms. This is important. Okay, the average depth of the continental shelf is 100 fathoms. This is the unit for measuring the depth of the continental shelf. 1 fathom is equal to 6 feet. Okay, this also you should remember. 1 fathom is equal to 6 feet and the average depth of continental shelf is 100 fathoms. The depth of the sea in this region gradually increases towards the continental slope. If we will move towards the continental slope, then what will happen? The depth of the sea will increase. The continental shelf is very important. Now, what is the importance of the continental shelf? It is very important for fishing, aquaculture, navigation and extraction of minerals. These are the importance of continental shelf. These things are done in the continental shelf. Fishing, aquaculture, navigation and extraction of minerals. So for definition purpose, you should remember this one. This is the shallow area along the sea coast. This part is bordered by the sea coast on one side and continental shelf on the other side. And this you have to remember, the average depth of the continental shelf is 100 fathoms. And importance of continental shelf is for fishing, aquaculture, navigation, extraction of minerals. Now the second one is continental slope. What is continental slope? This is the second part of the ocean floor, right? This is the second part of the ocean floor and is very steep. Okay, and is very steep. Now we'll have a look on the diagram given in your textbook for continental slope. You can see this is the continental slope. This is the second part. First one is your continental shelf. Second is the continental slope and it is very steep. You can see this is steep in structure. It is a link between the continental shelf and the deep sea plain. Okay, it is a link. It is a link between the continental shelf and the deep sea plain. See, it is in between the continental shelf and the ocean deep. So it is a link between, it is connecting the continental shelf and the ocean deep. So it is a link between the continental shelf and the ocean deep. Submarine canyons are a special features in this region. Submarine canyons are the special feature in this region. So what is continental shelf? It is the second part of the ocean floor and it is very steep. It is a link between the continental shelf and the deep sea plain. Submarine canyons are the special feature in this region. And the third one is your deep sea plain. What is deep sea plain? This is the vast plain found at the bottom of the sea floor. Okay, it is a vast plain. Vast means very big in size. Present at the bottom of the sea floor. We have seen in the diagram that it is present at the bottom of the sea floor. The deep sea plain is also known as abyssal plain. What is the other name of deep sea plain? Abyssal plain. And it covers the largest area of the ocean floor. Since it is a very vast plain, so it will cover the largest area of the ocean floor. In this region, sea mounts and fjords are found. Okay, in this region what we can get? Sea mounts as well as fjords are found in this deep sea plain. Okay, next the last one is the ocean deep. The ocean deeps are also called ocean trenchers. Okay, what is the other name for ocean deep? Ocean trenchers. These are the deepest part of the ocean floor. Since from the name you can understand ocean deep. So these are the deepest part of the ocean floor. Example, the Challenger Deep of Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean near Philippine Island is around 11,000 and 3,300 meters deep and it is the deepest point of the ocean. Okay, which is the deepest point of the ocean? The Challenger Deep. Okay, the Challenger Deep of Mariana Trench is the deepest point of the ocean. The other trenches are Tonga Trench, Turrile Trench in the Pacific Ocean. So remember the name Challenger Deep. It is the deepest point of the ocean. Other name of ocean deep is ocean trench. Okay. Now we'll read about temperature and salinity of the ocean water. Temperature you all know. What is the definition of temperature? Hotness or coldness of a body. We have read in science, right? And salinity means the amount or percentage of water present in the sea or river water, sea water or ocean water. Okay. First of all, we'll discuss about temperature. Which instrument is used for measuring the temperature? Thermometer, right? Ocean or sea or ocean water temperature varies according to latitudes and the depth of the ocean floor. So the temperature of the sea and ocean water will depend on what? Will depend on the latitudes and the depth of the ocean floor. The temperature of the ocean water near the equator is more than that of the temperature near the Arctic and the Antarctic Circle. So the temperature of water will be more near the equator, and it will be less near the Arctic and the Antarctic Circle. With the increasing depth, the temperature of the ocean water decreases. So when the depth of the ocean will increase, then what will happen? The temperature will decrease that time. When you will go inside the ocean, the temperature will decrease. It is because the sunlight can penetrate into the ocean only up to a depth of 200 meters. The sunlight cannot go inside the ocean, only it can go till 200 meters. After that, the sunlight cannot enter into the ocean. Within this depth, various marine organisms are found in large number. So all the marine organisms, they need sunlight, right? All the aquatic plants and the animals, they need sunlight. So they will be present where the sunlight can reach. After that, we cannot get any marine organisms. Next, we will discuss about salinity. Salinity is a percentage of salt. What is the definition of salinity? You have to write. Salinity is the percentage of salt dissolved in the sea or ocean water. Salinity. From the salinity word, you can remember the salt. The percentage of salt dissolved in the sea or ocean water. The average salinity of ocean water is 35 ppt. What is the full form of ppt? Parts per thousand. So average of salinity of ocean water will be 35 ppt or 35 grams per 1000 gram. The salinity of ocean water is very high near the tropics and it is very low near the poles. So where we can get the high percentage of salt? Near the tropics, and near the poles it will be low. At the equatorial region, the salinity is average due to high evaporation and percentage. Okay, and at the equatorial region, the salinity will be average due to high evaporation and precipitation. So what is salinity? You have to remember that it is a percentage of salt dissolved in the sea or ocean water, and the average salinity of ocean water is 35 ppt. This much you should remember. Next, why is seawater salty? What is the reason that why the seawater is salty in taste? The water flowing from the land to the sea carries many kinds of salts and deposits them into the sea or ocean. Okay, you all know when the rainwater will flow, it will flow from the land to the sea, right? So when it will flow, along with it will carry different types of salts along with them, and different types of things also along with them. Due to high temperature, water is evaporated continuously and the salts remain in the sea or ocean. Okay, during sunlight or during very high temperature, what will happen? The water will get evaporated and salt will remain in the sea or the ocean. This continuous process over a long period of time has resulted in the accumulation of salt in the sea water. The water will get evaporated and the salt will be collected in the sea or the ocean. After that, we can see the salt and sea water in that. Some facts are given over there. Saline water bodies of the world. Lake Van, it is present in Turkey, 330 ppt. Okay, Dead Sea, Asia, 300 ppt, and the Lake Sambar, it is present in India, 265 ppt, and Red Sea, Asian Africa, it is 240 ppt. Now we'll discuss about the ocean currents. The ocean water has three types of movements. Okay, ocean currents. Current means what? It is like a movement. So ocean water has three types of movement. They are waves, currents, and tides. So what are the movements of the ocean? They are called waves, currents, and tides. Ocean currents are regular movement of ocean water from one region to other. Now, what is the definition of the ocean current? These are the regular movement of ocean water from one region to another. When the ocean water will move in a regular interval of time, regular movement of ocean water from one region to another is called ocean current. And how many types of ocean currents are there? There are two types of ocean current, warm current and cold current. Okay, there are two types of ocean current, warm current and cold current. So what are the ocean water has three types of movements, right? What are the three types of movement name? Waves, current, and tides. So what are ocean currents? Ocean currents are the regular movements of ocean water from one region to other. And how many types of ocean currents we have? We have two types of ocean currents, warm current and cold current. What is warm current and what is cold current? Warm current. These currents originate and flow from the equatorial region to subpolar region. Okay, so what you have to remember in this one, these current, the warm currents will originate and flow. Originate means they have originate means from there it has started. Originate means it has started from there. Originate and flow from equatorial region to subpolar region. This you have to remember. These currents originate and flow from equatorial region to subpolar region. And cold currents, these currents originate in the polar region and flow towards the equatorial region. So for this also you can write the same. These currents originate and flow from polar region towards the equatorial region. Just opposite you have to write there. It's written subpolar, you have to write over there polar. Equatorial region. So the cold currents will originate and flow from polar region towards the equatorial region. This you have to remember for both of them. Okay. Now, factors that influence ocean currents. So what are the factors which will influence the ocean currents? Rotation of the earth. You know that earth is rotating continuously, right? Temperature, wind, salinity, shape of the land masses, etc. These are the factors which influence the ocean current. Rotation of the earth, temperature, wind, salinity and shape of the land masses. At least 2, 3, 4 at least you should remember. Rotation of the earth, temperature, wind and salinity. Now, currents of the Pacific Ocean are. Now we'll discuss about the different types of currents of Pacific Ocean. First, the North Pacific Ocean. In the North Pacific Ocean, warm currents, cold currents. What are the names of the warm currents? North Equatorial Current, Kuroshio. Okay. Kuroshio, and cold current Oyashio, California. Now the South Pacific Ocean, again it will have warm current and the cold current. Name of warm current are South Equatorial Current, East Australian Current, and the cold current is Peru or Humboldt West Wind Drift. Currents of the Atlantic Ocean are, this we have read for Pacific Ocean. Now the Atlantic Ocean. First we'll discuss for North Atlantic and then South Atlantic. North Atlantic Ocean, warm current and cold current. Warm current names are North Equatorial Current, Gulf Stream, North Atlantic Drift, and the cold currents are Labrador, Norwegian, Canary. South Atlantic currents, again warm and cold. Warm current, South Equatorial Current, Brazilian Current, and the cold currents are Falkland, Venezuela. Okay, Falkland and Venezuela. Now we'll discuss about the currents of the Indian Ocean. The North Indian Ocean currents change their direction seasonally following the monsoon. So what the North Indian Ocean currents do? They change their direction seasonally, means one after the other they will change their direction following the monsoon. During the southwest monsoon, the currents flow in the southwest to northeast. During southwest monsoon, what these currents will do? The North Indian Ocean currents, they will flow in the southwest to northeast direction. And during the northeast monsoon, just opposite they will do. They will flow in a northeast to southwest direction, just opposite. Okay, the South Indian Ocean current. What are the examples of South Indian Ocean currents? Are Mozambique, Madagascar, Agulhas as warm currents, and West Australian as cold currents. So in South Indian Ocean, what are the examples of warm current? Mozambique, Madagascar, Agulhas, and example for cold current is West Australian. You can check in this diagram the major ocean currents of the world, they have given over there. Fact files. Major fishing grounds: Honoso Hokkaido fishing ground, meeting place of Kuroshio warm current and Oyashio cold current, Japan. This is the one of the ground where the Kuroshio and the Oyashio cold currents will meet. Grand Bank, meeting place of Gulf Stream warm current and Labrador cold current, and Dogger Bank, North Sea region of Europe. Okay, these are some of the major ocean currents of the world. Now we'll discuss about the tides. So in tides, we will read about the types of tides, causes and its uses. So first of all, water tides. Tides are the periodic rise and fall in the sea or ocean level. So what is tide? Like this, these are called tides. Periodic rise, this is rising, this is falling. Rising, falling. These are called tides. Tides are the periodic rise and fall in the sea or ocean level. They occur due to gravitational attraction by the moon, gravitational force by the sun, rotation of the earth and centrifugal force of the earth. How they occur? Why they occur? They occur due to This is the definition of the tide. Tides are the periodic rise and fall in the ocean or sea level. And why do they occur? They occur due to gravitational attraction by the moon, gravitational force by the sun, and rotation of the earth and centrifugal force of the earth. Because of these things, the tides occur. Gravitational attraction by the moon, gravitational force by the sun, rotation of the earth and centrifugal force of the earth. Next, what are the types of the tides? There are two types of tides: high tide, also known as flood tide, and low tide, also known as EBB tide. Okay. So there are two types of tide: high tide and low tide. High tide is also known as flood tide, and low tide is also known as EBB tide. On water bodies of the earth, there are alternate high tides and low tides. Okay. In water bodies, what do you get? You will get alternate high tides and low tides over there. Between one high tide and low tide, the time is 6 hours 13 minutes. Okay. So what is the time duration between one high tide and one low tide? 6 hours and 13 minutes. Between one high tide and another, the time gap is 12 hours. Okay. And what will be the time duration between two high tides? 12 hours and 26 minutes. In 24 hours and 52 minutes, there are two high tides and two low tides. Okay. And in the time interval of 24 hours and 52 minutes, you can see two high tides and two low tides. Okay. So there are two types of tides on the basis of position of the moon and the sun. Okay. Now we have read that there are two types of tides, high tides and low tides. But on the position of the moon also there are two types of tide. These are called spring tide and neap tide. So what is spring tide and neap tide? That we will read now. On the basis of the position of the moon, again there are two types of tides. On the basis of the position of the moon and the sun. Okay. Over here we have to consider the position of the moon and the sun. On the basis of that, there are also two types of tides: spring tide and neap tide. What is spring tide? Spring tide takes place when the earth, moon and the sun are in the same straight line. Okay. When your earth, moon and the sun, all the three will be in a straight line, then that time spring tide will take place. Okay. Example: new moon and full moon. These are the examples of spring tide: new moon and full moon. During new moon day and full moon day, spring tide will take place. When the spring tide take place, high tides are the highest and low tides are the lowest. During the spring tide, when the spring tide will take place, what will happen? The high tides will be the highest and the low tides are the lowest. So this was all about your spring tide. When the earth, moon and the sun will be in a straight line, that time spring tide will take place. Example: new moon and full moon. Now what is neap tide? Neap tide occurs on the first quarter and last quarter days in the phase of the moon. Okay, when do they occur? They occur during the first quarter and last quarter days in the phase of the moon. During neap tide, the sun and the earth are in the same line. Sun and the earth, they will be in the same line. But the moon is in the right angle to the sun. The moon is in the right angle to the sun. Means 90 degree. Right angle means what? It will make a 90 degree with the earth. Okay. So when do this neap tide will occur? It will occur when the sun and the earth are in the same straight line and moon is in the right angle to the earth. Sun and earth should be in the same straight line and the moon will be at right angle to the earth. In this type of tide, the high tides are not very high and the low tides are not very low. So this was all about your neap tide. It will occur when the sun and the earth will be in the straight line and moon is in right angle to the earth. During this type of tide, high tides are not very high and low tides are not very low. And when do the neap tide will occur? It will occur during the first quarter and the last quarter days in the phase of the moon. In your exercise question answer, one question is there: write the difference between spring tide and neap tide. That I have already explained. You can watch that video. See, this is a diagram given for spring tide and neap tide. See, this is for your high tide, low tide. This is the neap tide and this is a spring tide. Full moon, first quarter, the neap tide can be seen. Next, what are the uses of the tides? There are some of the uses of the tides also. Tides are directly or indirectly useful to mankind in following ways. Okay, they are directly or indirectly useful to us. First one, Tides help navigation for big ship during high tides. Tides help navigation for big ship during high tides. So what happens? Navigation of big ship means, navigation means providing the direction to the big ship. It help in navigation for big ship during high tides. Tides prevent some extent the freezing sea or ocean water in the coast. It also prevent the freezing sea or ocean water in the coast. Okay, tides help to keep the harbor clean. It helps to keep the harbor clean. They help in fishing. They also help to generate tidal energy. Okay, so these are 5 uses of tides. At least 4 uses you should remember, that they help in fishing, they help to generate tidal energy. Okay, and you can remember they help to keep the harbor clean, or this one also you can remember, tide help navigation for big ships during high tides. Now the last topic of this chapter is conservation of ocean. From this topic also one question is there in your textbook. Okay, what are the steps for conservation of water? How do we conserve ocean? Like that, some question is there. Conservation of ocean. Conservation of ocean is very important. Ocean help us in many ways, and they are the habitat of millions of marine organisms. Habitat means home. For in the oceans, different types of marine organisms are there. Okay, considering the rate at which the oceans are being contaminated. Contaminated means it is getting polluted by many of the pollutants. They may not remain what they should be in the future. Means nowadays, because of pollution, factories and the nuclear power stations and all, the ocean water is getting polluted, and which are affecting the aquatic plants and animals also, marine organisms also. So we should adopt some of the ways by which we can preserve our or conserve our ocean. The following are the important methods of conservation of ocean. Now, what are the different methods of conservation of ocean? First one, oil transportation should be done through pipelines. If oil will be transported from one place to another through pipelines, then what will happen? The oil will not get mixed with the ocean water, so it will not pollute the water. Okay, so oil should be always transported through pipeline. Second one, nuclear waste should not be dumped into the sea or ocean. All the nuclear waste, you know that they are very harmful. They can harm the living organisms in the water. So they should not be dumped or thrown into the sea or ocean water. Petrochemical industries in the coastal region must avoid dumping effluents into the sea or ocean. Petrochemical industries, they should not throw their waste, liquid waste, effluents means liquid pollutant, into the sea or ocean water. Dumping of any waste near the ports and harbor must be controlled. Means if anyone is dumping any waste near the ports or the harbor, it should be controlled, because we should keep the ports and the harbor clean. Ore deposition and mineral exploitation along the coast must be controlled. Many of in the news channels also you have seen that the ores and the minerals are exploited near the coast, so that should be controlled. Exploitation and destruction of beaches must be controlled. This is the 6th point. Exploitation and destruction should the beaches should not be destructed or exploited. So these are the 6 points. At least 5 points you can remember like this. Oil transportation should be done through pipeline. This one is easy. Nuclear waste should not be dumped in the sea or ocean water. This is also good. Then exploitation and destruction of beaches must be controlled. Wood deposit and mineral exploitation along the sea coast must be controlled. Dumping of any waste near the ports and the harbor must be controlled. Any 5 points which is easy for you, you can remember those points. So with this, we have finished the explanation of this chapter. Okay, go through the video once and read the textbook once. If you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubt.
Thank you. Have a great day and God bless you.